Another $10 bag that I got for $5 at my newest thrift store. This bag is greens and blue greens and appears to be a lot of vintage. Let's check it out. Okay, here we have a dark brownish green cotton, and it looks like there's a lot of it. Let's look. I looked and there is 4 yards, which is a lot. The color is actually pretty nice, and I am sure that I can use it, so we'll see what I do with it. A small wood thing. So a bit of two-way stretch. It's some kind of polyester knit. It's not quite a double knit. I like the color. There's not a lot. So I'm thinking maybe doll clothes. We'll see. I would call this light 4-way stretch. I love the green. It's very bright. It's maybe a 1/4 yard. Not quite fat quarter. And then let's see how big this piece is. So there's not quite 2 yards of this, but it is 60 inches wide. So there's a fair amount to work with. I'm sure this would be great for something. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Sort of a fleecy fill on this side. And kind of a knit on the camo side. It's not a terribly big piece. So I'm not quite sure what I would do with it. Like barely any stretch. If you have a suggestion, let me know. This has an interesting texture. It doesn't have a stretch. It's not a knit or anything. I'm not quite sure what the fabric is called, so let's see how much there is. So there's about 1.25 yards. It's been cut in 2. It's not soft, but it doesn't feel rough or bad. I love the color, so I'll use it. I'll have to think about, with the size that it is, what I'll use it for. It's a silky fabric. Looks like there's about 1/2 yard. It's a dark green, almost a grayish green. There's not a lot, but I can definitely use it. So this is, I think, a double knit. And it looks like there's a lot. And it looks like it's probably 60 inches wide. So I think it's about, well, actually, let me figure that out. Yeah, it's about 1 yard, and it is definitely 60 inches wide. Has that sort of diagonal pattern on it. It's sort of a minty green. I wish there was a little more of it. Let's see, I think there's a stain. Yeah. Nah, the good side is okay looking. There's a small stamp on it though. I'm gonna have to think about this and see what would fit it. So if you watched my second to last video, I think, I had a small piece of this, or a couple of small pieces of this fabric in it. And if you look, this has been cut. Oh, so it was cut out to be a dress of some sort. Sleeve. So if I lay out all the pieces, I might have enough for a dress. It would probably be a pretty fun dress. So about a fat quarter of this. This is really cute. I would love if I could find something like some more of this or something really close to this. I could make a really cute dress for my niece, like a vintage style. This is definitely a 70s, 80s kind of vibe. Oh, hey, I got my wish. I would say it's not quite a yard, but if I worked creatively, maybe, and maybe somewhere else there's a couple more pieces. Awesome. Now also in one of my last hauls, I had a small piece of this fabric, and I said, oh man, I wish there was more of this. I got my wish on that too. So there's about a yard of this. It's been cut into, so it's about a yard. I think there's enough for me to make a button-up shirt for my kid. I think that would be nice. Interesting. So the glitter's still glittery on a fair amount of it. It's a goldish, a silvery goldish, or maybe a rose goldish glitter. It smells though. It's kind of dog smelling. Let's see how much there is. So it appears there's just under 2 yards. It looks heavier duty than it actually is. It's pretty lightweight. As you can see, it's lost some of its sparkle, so I'm not sure if I'd use it. I'm not exactly sure. Some kind of sheets or something that's been cut into for some reason. So I'm not sure what I would do with it. Two-way stretch. It's an interesting fabric to be this sort of silky stretch material. Like the pattern, I mean. I'd say originally it was 60 inches wide, most likely, and it's just under a yard. I'd say it's the kind of fabric they would use for like a button-up shirt from back in the day, but is one of the most interesting patterned and fabric types I think I've gotten. Just a little shiny. Maybe a quarter-ish yard of this. It's enough for a doll dress, so that's probably what I'll use it for. Some more of this. Maybe one of the back pieces. Maybe. A very light blue with a hint of green cotton. Has some staining. not sure if the staining will come out. Let's see how much there is. So there's right at about a yard. If I use it for a quilt, I can just cut around the stained pieces if the stain doesn't come out. But we'll try washing it and see how it goes. Another one. I just don't know what it was used for. It may have been a curtain at some point. Maybe. This almost feels like a rayon, but it's not quite a yard. It's definitely in the colors of its time. I'm not sure what I would do with it because there's just not a lot to work with. If you have a suggestion though, I would be glad to hear it. I think this might be a sheet. So a king size top sheet. I mean, it could be useful as a backing for a quilt because I like the color. So I can work with that. I might have gotten this in the same fabric in another part of the haul. Like maybe some smaller pieces. It definitely has some staining, so I'm gonna have to wash it. I'm sure that I could use it. We'll just have to see how it does after the wash. So a double knit from the 60s, 70s. I think that this, I don't know, it's a little gray-white as a background. I wish it was a little whiter, a little brighter, but I like the colors. I've always been a bit of a yellow-green fan. It looks like there might be about a yard, so there's enough to work with to make something. I'm just not sure what. So I'll probably wash it, see if I can brighten it up a little bit, and there's some staining on it, see if I get the stains out, and then think on it. There's a fair amount of this sort of minty-ish green. It's like a rougher fabric like you would use for khakis. So no stretch, but let's see how much there is. So there is about 2 yards. It is a pretty wide, possibly 60-inch wide fabric. It doesn't appear to have any stains. It's not the softest feeling fabric, so I'm not sure what I would want to make out of it. Oh, a slight stain. So I guess I'll wash it and then think on it. Next. So a cute minty green gingham, double knit. Two-way stretch. It has staining. It looks like there might be a fair amount of it. I wish there was a lot more because this would be so cute to make it into a jumpsuit, like a 70s style, the bell bottoms and everything. It just would look ridiculous. Let's see how much fabric there is. So for the main part of the fabric, there's just over 1.5 yards, and then there's this about 1 yard of that, and the rest has been cut out for whatever. But I'm gonna wash it. I'm gonna work really hard on the stains, and I have a vision in mind for a dress, and I think there might be just enough fabric. We'll see. So did you think this haul today was worth $5? I do. I saw a couple of these fabrics and I said I have to have this bag, plus the others I bought. I have one more bag left that I got in this store that was $10 originally, marked down to $5, so keep an eye out for that one. And if you enjoyed this video, I have an entire playlist of just thrift hauls linked here on the video. Thanks!